Hello and welcome to another episode of Police Beat, the show that takes you inside the Gainesville Police Department. I'm Officer Ben Tobias, the spokesman for GPD, and I'll be your host for today's show. To my right is Sergeant Sharna Sin, who will be your co-host for today.
On today's episode of Police Beat, we'll be discussing two very serious issues, child abuse and date rape. Both of those horrible crimes are very invasive and personal and require a lot of different folks to investigate. We hope that by talking about this issue, we can help even one child or adult from being victimized.
Most of us can't even fathom how a person would willingly hurt or molest a child, but child abuse is an unfortunate reality in our world. The investigation of child abuse or molestation cases is a team effort between many different agencies, including law enforcement, prosecutors, medical professionals, social workers, and many more. Gainesville is very lucky to have a Child Advocacy Center, or CAC, who helps families and children through this very difficult and confusing process in their warm, caring, and safe environment. The center can also act as a central meeting place for all the agencies required to conduct these investigations. In our first segment, we sit down with Sherry Kitchens, the president and CEO of Gainesville CAC, to learn how they operate and demystify the process of child abuse investigations.
My name is Sherry Kitchens. I'm the president and CEO of the Child Advocacy Center. I've been here at the Child Advocacy Center for almost 10 years, but I've been working with child welfare and child protection for about 22 years. The Child Advocacy Center has a very specific role in communities, and that is to improve the community's response to child abuse. Our Child Advocacy Center here in Alachua County has been functioning since 1998 and providing services since 1999, specifically to child abuse victims and their families.
The Gainesville Police Department works with several agencies. We work primarily with the Child Advocacy Center of Gainesville. We do medical forensic exams with the Child Protection Team of Shands, Partnership for Strong Families, and the Department of Children and Families.
A forensic interview is a fact-finding process. We do that in a child-friendly location. Our forensic interview room is bright and colorful and cheery.
The child is able to give us a basis of what we need to look for, what the medical professionals need to examine so that we can find the physical evidence that we need. Without the interview, we'd be shot in the dark. DCF and law enforcement will communicate. We'll figure out a time that is appropriate to get the child interviewed at the CAC. They allow the children to come in. The children have an area that's, when they first come in, is filled with toys, and it allows them to play and get comfortable. Thankfully to the CAC, the children never have to be exposed to us. They don't have to see a gun, they don't have to see a badge. They get to see advocates who are there to make them feel comfortable and to make the experience as least traumatizing as possible.
In our center, we have the great fortune to have a multidisciplinary team of professionals. It's law enforcement, child protective investigators, therapists, advocates, and others in another room watching the interview in real time. That way a child does not have to be re-interviewed over and over again about the same situation. Many times if that happens, children will just shut down and they'll stop talking, and we really need a statement from the child in order for law enforcement and Department of Children and Families to continue their valuable work to keep these children safe. Our interviewers are trained to be able to gather that information from the child in the most child-friendly manner, so the child can feel comfortable to talk about what happened.
They're vital to our investigation. People want to hear what the victim has to say. And when a child is a victim, it's more difficult because there's certain strategies that we have to take to ensure that they're safe and they're not being traumatized. So in an environment like the CAC, children are being talked to and being interviewed in a way they don't even know that they're being interviewed. They're just here to play and they're here to talk to a nice person.
The children are allowed to draw and color. They use a chalkboard, really any method to get the information from the child. It's not like an interrogation. I think that's what folks really think about. Forensic interview is a very formal word, but it's a very gentle process. It's a very compassionate process.
Child Protection Team are medical professionals that are trained to do forensic medical evaluations of children. Their role is vital when it comes to the physical evidence that can be shown in child abuse or child neglect.
The medical piece is critical. They have the opportunity at the UF Child Protection Team to see children, to evaluate them medically, look at their bodies from head to toe. They also, when they've seen children more than once, because they take photographs of a child's body, they have the opportunity to look at the baseline about what 6 months ago, a year ago, this is what the child's body looked like, and this is what the child's body looks like now. What's the difference? Where could that have come from? The medical providers at the Child Protection Team also will talk to children about their bodies being okay. Sometimes when children have been abused, especially sexually abused, they have lots and lots of worries about, that their body's not okay, their body's not ever going to be the same, and they need some reassurance that they're going to be okay, because we need to be looking at this child as a whole. Their environment, them medically, we need to be looking at them socially and emotionally. We need to be looking at their school environment, their home environment. The medical providers really fill that out. If a child tells you that they've been abused or someone has touched them inappropriately, hit them and left marks, or called them, names over and over again, if the child is suicidal, all of those things are significant factors that I would pay attention to, that maybe something's happened to this child and we need to look at it further.
And especially if children are using language that's not appropriate for their age, or they're displaying sexual behaviors that is not appropriate for that age, it's a learned behavior. Children are learning it from somewhere. And so those are important to look out for.
For children don't have a lot of sexual knowledge without being exposed. So it may not mean that they have been sexually abused, but maybe they've been exposed to pornography or movies or pictures, or someone's asked them to do something. And so those are things that make us really concerned. Sometimes children don't use words to explain how they feel. We do interviews with children from ages 2.5 all the way up to 18, and also some developmentally disabled adults. And so sometimes they won't say, this is how I'm feeling, but they'll show with their behavior or show through their play. We really pay attention to what is it like for kids. We sometimes will kind of crouch down and look at the center from a 3 feet kind of perspective. We sit with children and watch movies with them, and there'll be times when, a child really needs somebody just to sit down and read to them. And so that's what's going to bring their anxiety down. This is a place for children, and we don't want to, at any level, change that culture. It's very important to us. What we're trying to do is get that child's mind off of what we talked about in the interview, back into kid stuff and what kids want to think about, and toys and things like that. But also to make sure that children, if they need services, that they are, immediately hooked up with those services once they leave here. It's very important for folks to understand that every Florida citizen is a mandated reporter. That means that if you have a suspicion of abuse, you don't have to confirm it, you don't have to investigate it yourself. But if you have a suspicion that a child's been abused, it's your responsibility as a Florida citizen to call the 1-800-96-ABUSE number. 1-800-96-ABUSE is the state hotline for suspicion of abuse or neglect. But to me, children really, they need to be heard, they need to be believed and supported through this process.
As you heard, these types of investigations are very in-depth and require great care. We also rely heavily on the University of Florida Child Protection Team, who completes the forensic medical examinations for child abuse investigations. You've heard a bit about how the center operates, and after the break, you'll hear from one parent how the CAC helped turn a horrible situation into a very happy ending. Police Beat will be right back.
Welcome back to Police Beat. If you're just joining us, we're talking about child abuse and how the Gainesville Child Advocacy Center helps greatly during abuse or molestation cases. Child abuse is a very real problem in our society, and the next segment will demonstrate how personal and invasive these investigations can be. In the following segment, a lengthy investigation and therapy process revealed a pattern of physical and mental abuse by a child's biological mother. The child was eventually adopted by her stepmother, who continues to help her young daughter heal years later with her father. This is a great success story and shows how the Child Advocacy Center helped in their road to recovery.
I think we were dealing with some behavioral issues from her biological mother, some false allegations on her father, and a lot of coaching on the biological mother's side. And so I think that put a lot of confusion, and probably trying to please everybody. And being 4, and you have no concept of that at 4. It's hard enough being 4. It was chaos. It was, just acting out. There were so many emotions in her little body that she just could not put them all together. Anger, tears, fit throwing, confusion, not eating, staying up all night. Just not a typical 4-year-old that should be having fun, carefree, doing typical 4-year-old stuff. Just the most horrific stuff that you could imagine, as far as touching, fondling, and it was graphic. It was ugly. Every parent's nightmare, every innocent parent's nightmare. 24 hours of going to court, getting rid of an injunction. She went to court after 5 p.m. and got another injunction. 24 hours later, we're back in court. Same graphic stuff, and pretty much you were guilty until you had to prove yourself innocent. It's a long and confusing time when you're not seeing a child, you're not interacting, and truthfully, it was being kept from her father, pretty much trying to diminish that relationship that they did have. Probably embarrassment, I think, because you have just so many people coming into your lives and you're having to tell your same story over and over again, and probably imagining what these people think. You have DCF, you have law enforcement, because law enforcement has to come with DCF. That's just how they do it and how it should be done. And you're probably feeling judged because every time we turned around, anytime somebody knocked at our door, I was like, well, it's either the sheriff's office or DCF or both. And most of the time it was both. And just not knowing how it's going to turn out, knowing that you've done nothing wrong, but at the same time, not knowing how it's going to turn out. So I remember there were so many agencies coming and you just didn't know who does what because they weren't giving you information. And sometimes I know agencies get busy and sometimes it's hard to see that they all work together.
How do you navigate some of these systems? They're complicated. They're complicated if you have the best of circumstances. And so we really will walk them through, if they have issues at the Social Security office. How do we, let's go together. Let's see what this is all about. Let's figure out why, you're getting these papers that you don't understand.
They helped us put all the agencies together to go, okay, everybody's getting the same information at the same time. With the Child Advocacy Center, literally because the family had to learn to work around the 4-year-old's dilemmas, triumphs, everything. The successes. If she failed, we fail. When she achieved, we achieved. And it was literally how the day was going to work out, what we were going to do and what dilemmas were going to, follow suit. How do you teach your child to be aware of strangers when you have strangers coming in your house? So you were constantly having to change to incorporate something different, on a daily basis. Gradually, it took some time, but probably every 30 days, you'd see something a little different, see something less stressful. Maybe it's not, the fits didn't last as long. We were able to finish a meal. We were able to go out. There were more thank yous and you're welcome. And the biggest thing with the CAC was learning to express her feelings, not just to act out that it's okay to be sad and it's okay to be mad. So we were learning something every time we were here. And we were here at the beginning probably 2 to 3 times a week, for 2.5 to almost 3 years. It was a long haul because even often when I speak to somebody from the CAC today, it's 4 years ago was a different child to what we have today. It was a long haul, but literally it takes a village, and this is what was our village, was the CAC. It was truly life-altering, because had it not been for them, I mean, I think you get into a sort of a funk to go, are we doing any good? You know, we're on the right, you keep saying we're on the right page, but it's just taken a while to get to the next chapter. There were times I think we were down, but we just had to keep fighting. We just had to keep fighting, keep showing up. And the truth would come out, and it did. It was a long fight, it was ugly. But I mean, we just kept going, and at the end of the day, you had to look at the child and go, she's worth every bit of it. She's worth every bit of it. And literally without the CAC, I don't even like to think where we wouldn't be. That is honest to God what they're here for. And it's gonna make a difference. And save one child, just one, and it was mine. Whew, sorry. And yeah, I mean, I know that sounds so crazy, but yeah, we do it all over again. All the pain and everything. And I just remember putting her out this morning at school, you know, with her little backpack, and usually her backpack's bigger than she is. And she said, well, don't forget to pick me up. And I said, okay, well, I'll try not to. And she said, you better not. And just always goofing. Had it not been for the Child Advocacy Center, I don't know. I don't want to know. I'm just grateful that we're here, and we have the child that we have.
We are lucky this family's experience ended happily with a strong, healing child. We hope that everyone watching this show is better prepared to recognize child abuse and report it right away. After the break, we speak to a young lady that has a different story, but one that she is proud to tell. Stay with us. Police Beat will be right back.
Guys, he's running back. He's running back.
Welcome back to Police Beat. Being that Gainesville is a college town, it comes with its fair share of date rape incidents. The Gainesville Police Department understands the gravity of these crimes, and we investigate them to the best of our ability. There are ways that we can improve, and we learn something from each investigation. A lot of rape prevention in our culture is focused on how females can protect themselves, but we are missing a larger and much easier message. I'm speaking directly to the guys now, man to man. It is not okay to take advantage of a woman, no matter what she chooses to wear or how much she has had to drink. It does not make you cool, it just makes you an idiot. Our next guest unfortunately fell victim to one of these idiots, but made a choice going forward to help other young ladies. This strong young woman used her tragic experience to help others in a way you won't believe. I was blown away by her strength and determination when I interviewed her. Let's hear her story.
I'm Christine Brown. I'm a rape victim, and I'm proud to share my story. He raped me in his car and then assaulted me afterwards. It's known that most likely you know the assailant or the perpetrator, which that in itself is just a horrible fact, that you know someone who's willing to take advantage of you. He could have really come with the intent to, I want to take advantage of you and I want to kill you. I want to consider myself lucky that I was able to get out of a bad situation, live to tell my story and show people that you can go through something so bad, but as long as you have a support system and you have the strength to do it, you can get through anything. When you're being assaulted, it's someone taking power away from you. So I think it's a natural feeling. I think it's a common feeling that people don't necessarily know how to work through or deal with. Because I felt it for a few months after. I would question myself, like, why did I let him do that? Could I have done anything else to stop myself? What should I have looked out for? I didn't call the cops that night. That's kind of where my emotions played into it. I was really just self-ashamed. I felt like I deserved it because I allowed it to happen. When my mom realized that we had to do something, we had to still go to the cops, they didn't take the report right then and there. They knew something had happened and they knew what had happened, but they didn't take my statement. They decided to interview me on my front lawn in front of my whole community. So it wasn't about a week until I got to a CAC. I was just in interrogation rooms and it was horrible because I was reliving the moment and I couldn't get out of that, and I was re-traumatizing myself over and over and over again.
Victims just been completely traumatized. Sometimes people need time to process what just happened to them and what the next step's going to be. I know it's on TV and most people believe that they should immediately go to the police and report it, or it's not true. That is not the case in a lot of sex assault crimes. The case is that a lot of embarrassment, shame comes along with the fact that they've just been raped or sexually assaulted, and a lot of times people need to work through their own process.
It was to a male detective, and I just had a male violate my personal space, so I didn't want to sit here and keep talking about my personal parts to a male again.
I think that females a lot of time are more comfortable talking about those type of things with another female. I think it's very hard to talk with a male about sexual experiences that happen to you. I think it's important that we have both available if they feel comfortable with either one.
I finally got to a point where I was just like, I'm done. I've answered your questions 5 times. I don't want to keep going through this anymore. And that's when I had like an emotional breakdown. I was like, I'll sit here for 13 hours like you want me to, but I'm not going to keep answering them. So there was a lot to work that had to be done.
I think the way we can improve is to make our investigations victim-centered. A lot of times, like I said, we get wrapped up on a suspect and arresting the suspect and identifying who the suspect is, and then our job is done. Well, it's not. These investigations start with a victim, and they need to end with a victim.
I just got the feeling that if you think I'm lying, then how am I ever going to win my case when I'm trying to sit here and tell you something, or someone did something wrong in the community and you're not doing anything about it?
It's essential that the victim feels comfortable around law enforcement. It's our job to make sure that they feel like we're doing the best investigation that we can do and that they're getting every service available to them. At no time should they feel like that they're not being believed or that we're favoring the suspect. At the end of the day, ultimately want a happy resolution for the victim and for them to feel safe and have been provided all the services that they need in order to continue to feel safe in the future.
So when I got to the CAC, I was able to really sit down and talk to a child advocate who knew her stuff, who knew what the typical signs were, who knew what to look out for, which were simple reactions to the assault. She was able to say, okay, whoa, we all need to take a step back here. This really did happen, but how did it happen? She might not be disclosing everything, but she's not going to just come out and just say everything because those are personal, private feelings, so you have to get on a level that she's comfortable with. Because it's a strong statement to say I'm a rape victim. That is a strong statement. It's not, he just hijacked my car, he just bumped into me on the side of the road. That's a strong statement. They gave me my dignity back, that I'm actually a real human being. I'm not just another number. I moved up here to come to school because I wanted to get out of Oviedo. I found the CAC up here and I knocked on the door, and one of the workers here just opened it and said hello, and I said, hi, I'm Christine. I'm a victim, but I want to talk about it.
Christine Brown, first of all, she's just an amazing, strong young woman. I have a lot of respect for her and I've learned a lot from her. You have to do an awful lot of healing to get to the place where you want to give back and you want to help in some way. She was speaking to over 600 people, and it's generally a pretty loud, fun event. It was completely silent while she spoke, and you could see people tearing up. You could see them being really impacted by her story. And the feedback I got from that particular event, I believe it was 2 years ago, was how amazing she was. They wanted to hear more. And it impacted them and touched them in a core place that we haven't been able to do before. So we asked Christine to be a part of our board of directors and to help give that perspective of a survivor. She will, just come up to Gainesville and bring us a carload of school supplies for kids. She always asks, what do the kids need? Do we need, things for teenagers? Do we need things for little girls? It's just an amazing gift to have her a part of our organization.
It doesn't matter what the victim's wearing, their level of intoxication does not give someone the right to sexually assault them.
If she's saying no, it's no. That's the bottom line at the end of the day.
I think the great thing about Report Rape Gainesville is that it gives them step-by-step instructions on what needs to be done. It has information on who to contact, how to contact them, what they can expect. So I think that it's an essential website for someone who doesn't know what to do, and it can instruct them how to take the next step.
I've kind of put my face out there as a victim of sexual assault because I'm not afraid to. It's taken me a long time to get here. The more I talk about it, the more people know about it. And the more people who know about it are those people who are educated and know what to do when that circumstance comes up in their lives, if it does come up. Knowing that I made a change or I positively helped someone, just one person, is all I want to do in life.
We hope that Christine's story gives strength to other survivors and will help break the culture of date rape. We also hope that this episode changed the mind of even one offender or caused one person to report an incident of child abuse. We need everyone's help to put an end to this type of crime.
Well, that wraps up this episode. Remember, you can report child abuse by dialing 1-800-96-ABUSE, and Florida law allows you to make an anonymous report. Please make the call if you suspect abuse. Your call may very well save a life.
Make sure to follow GPD on Facebook or Twitter, or connect with us at GainesvillePD.org, where you can make suggestions on what you'd like to see featured on a future episode.
We hope you enjoyed your time with us today. We'll see you again next month for another episode of Police Beat.
Call resources. Call somebody at the Child Advocacy Center. If you're not linked up, make that call.
Just get it out there. Once you get it off your chest and you can start to get the help that you need, that's the first step to the road of recovery.